And this your boy Deontay the Bronze from Milwaukee.
What's up, guys? This is Uriah Faber.
What's up, guys? Stephen One Boy Thompson.
It's the IBF champion, Earl Smith Jr.
Cynthia Calvio.
Hi, this is Michaela Mayer.
Montana and Mark, the Della Rosas.
This is Daniel Medical Man Jacob. Shout out to Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to the Slip and Dip podcast.
And you're listening
With your boy Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Yes, sir. Coming at you once again, episode 41 of the Slip and Dip podcast.
Oh no, Yoel Romero.
Honoring Yoel Romero on this wonderful day here in the frozen tundra that is the DF Dub. A little bit of ice on the ground out there, but it's all good, man. We're bringing it to you guys here on a Sunday afternoon. We got two very, very nice guests lined up for you guys that you will hear from in just a minute. UFC lightweight / welterweight, Mr. Drew Dober, coming off a big win, and one of the best trainers in the world of MMA, Mr. Jason Parillo, trainer of champions, Chris Cyborg, Michael Bisping, Tito Ortiz. You know, the names, they go on
RDA.
and on. RDA, man, about to get that crack at Tyron Woodley, man. We're about to hear from both of those guys in just a few minutes. But first, as always, Kendrick, how you doing over there, my man?
Watch that card, man. I don't take too much perplexion out of it. It's more like Joel did what he had to do. Bisping's days as a champion are over. Joel gets one more shot at Robert Whittaker. I think he's gonna lose because I always go with the younger man, and I was at the first fight. That's how the game goes. Your window closes. My man Luke's closed last night officially.
Hey.
When he hit that, he was already out before he got hit the second time. But these people talking about he had to get hit. You all had to blast him. The referee didn't think he was out. He gave him a shot. So he had to do that. It was brutal, but he had to do it.
I mean, it wasn't egregious by any means, but yeah, I mean, if he didn't have that follow-up shot, I mean, if you watch it in slow motion, because I watched it in slow motion a couple times just to see how brutal it was, I don't know. But, I mean, Luke was kind of recovering. He was kind of leaning back towards in to try to recover, and then that uppercut comes, and then, of course,
Night.
yeah, you know, Mr. Mark Goddard was like, oh, no more. And, yeah, it was a pretty brutal combination in that fight. Strong work by Yoel Romero. And we kind of talked right after the fight. You know, I think Yoel kind of lulled him to sleep a little bit. As we saw in the first couple rounds, he was just kind of staying. I mean, we see Yoel do this all the time where he lets guys get in real close and he explodes on them. And I think he kind of did that with Luke a little bit too. You know, let him get in real close. A lot of the fight was fought at like boxing range, which is kind of crazy because you consider leg kicks and takedowns.
But again, gotta execute the game plan. If you put the first 2 rounds, Luke does that for 5 rounds. Talking about talking about him getting his shot. Sit there and get a little crazy, take a chance, night. Have your game plans and execute them. Don't take chances if you want to be a champion. That's why Tyron Woodley be getting the hand raised every time. You don't take chances, execute to the championship level. You gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with you, but I mean, it's one of the things that obviously after the fight, we saw a lot of people arguing. A couple of people that we know arguing at least about.
They argue about fantasy for basketball.
I mean, you know, shout out to Danny. Danny's my boy. Shout out to Danny. But I mean, you know, the argument. It's a valid argument that, you know, since Yoel missed weight, you know, he obviously did not. He was ineligible to win the interim title last night. But at the end of the day, he's still going to be next in line to get the title shot, interim title or not. But you know, my whole defense of the whole situation is, 1, weight cutting is stupid as hell anyways. 2, I don't think a 2.7 pound difference is really going to play that big of a difference in the outcome of the fight, because they both struggle to get down there anyways, and Luke has more time to recover while Yoel has to hop back in the sauna. But you know, me and Danny have argued about that. You can just check out our conversation on Twitter. We went back and forth. We were having fun with it though. But yeah.
Your biggest pet peeve, strikes again.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to. Weight cutting is stupid as hell. I can't stand it.
But before you hit them with that knowledge,
I'm not gonna get into it.
Why don't they have a clause? Okay, dude don't make weight, dude loses money. Dude can't be a certain, depending on the weight class, can't be a certain thing on fight night. They don't do that.
They did do that. They did that just last weekend.
I did 2 weeks ago, and boy still came in.
Yeah, he still fought.
Yeah, but that's why I don't understand, because they want to talk about safety. That's a safety thing. I don't get that part. That's an advantage right there.
My whole thing is, I think the whole weight cutting rules that are currently in place has created this facade that a 2 or 3 pound difference is really going to make a drastic difference in the outcome of the fight. I don't believe that for a minute. I think it's all overblown. I think it's all fake news, so to speak, that you have a guy who weighs 185 versus a guy who weighs 187.7. That automatically the guy that's 187 is going to have some massive advantage. Like, that's BS, man. It's BS. Especially when the next day, neither one of them are anywhere near 185 or 187.7. They're both closer to 200 pounds that night. So, what they did the day before, and listen, it's all overblown, man. I think, like I said, I get it that one guy actually made the weight, the other guy didn't, but they both struggled to get down there. They both struggled, and it's kind of anecdotal to say who struggled more. Because Luke could have had an easy weight cut. We don't know how the weight cut was. Sure, he looked terrible when he got off the stage and did that post weigh-in interview immediately after the fact.
Shout out to Karen Bryant. KB, come on the show. Show us some love. One of the pioneers in this media game. Much love for you, KB.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to truly scale whose body took a tougher toll from weight cutting, because some guys have easier weight cuts, some guys have tougher weight cuts. It's just.
I will say the JJ fight. It was the first time I seen her on the morning weigh-in. I was like, Skeletor, like she looked it bad. I remember mentally that picture.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of examples of that. Yeah.
So what happened on Saturday really wasn't far-fetched. One of my sources behind the scenes, I showed Matt a private text on Friday. Somebody called the knockout, and I didn't believe it on Friday. So there was some validity to that, but I digress.
Yeah.
The thing is, they don't like that. USADA, it's hardcore. Like boom, do this, you do that. There's no penalties. Okay, we'll take your money. Other than that, there's nothing like. There's no deterrent really.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? The compensation is you get to take home 20 to 30% of your opponent's purse. And at the end of the day, when the fighter says, okay, that 30% will make up for you missing weight, then once that's agreed upon, you can't talk about the weight after that. Because you've said, this money will make up for the difference in the weight that you missed, so therefore, I'm okay with you missing 2 pounds. I'm okay with you missing 3 pounds. So we're going to get in there tomorrow and fight anyways. So whatever happens after that point, it's truly just on the fight. So, I mean, like I said, if you truly have that big of a problem, that big of an issue with the guy missing weight, then you don't take the fight, period. But once you say, yeah, 30% is cool, you're agreeing that weight difference doesn't matter. And that you're still confident that you can go in there and get the job done tomorrow night. No fighter is still going to be like, you know what, yeah, you missed weight. I'm going to take your extra money, but hey, I'm still walking into a lose-lose situation here. Like, no, that's not how this should work. Like, you took the money, that's your compensation. Okay, I'm still going to go in there and try to get my hand raised. So you're agreeing to the fact that you should still be able to go in there and fight, because no fighter is going to take a fight in which they're going in believing that they're going to lose. Fighters are confident, cocky people. They think they can knock out anyone at any time. So, the weight differences be damned. I think it's all overblown. Shout out to Curtis Blades getting it done against Mark Hunt after almost getting out of there early. And then, hey.
He unfortunately broke our trend, man. He broke our trend of the curse.
You tried to put a curse on him. You tried to put a curse on him.
Hey, it ain't my fault. 3 people didn't pick up. They didn't pick up when we made the call. They took a L.
It's all good, man. He was preparing to travel all the way to Perth, Australia from Colorado. That's a hell of a flight, man. It's a hell of a flight. I don't blame him if he had to get mentally ready to sit on the plane for 3 days or however long it takes to get over there. I mean, it's...
The right brothers on the roundup, boy. I think it's a little bit quick.
Yeah, no, I know. It's really... It does take at least a solid day to get over there, though, which is crazy.
This is crazy.
So,
I imagine being on a plane.
yeah, I can't.
I gotta have PlayStations. Something.
I mean, I think I would start to get a little claustrophobic, man.
Now, if I have PlayStation, something to keep me occupied, I can do it.
Oh yeah, like when I get on a plane, like I think
you
the longest.
You hook up your TV. How can you hook up a PlayStation to it?
I mean, if they have the connections there, I don't know. I don't know how they do it on those big, large.
I'm flying to Perth,
like
Australia. Do you have connections for a P2 or Xbox?
Hey, you might have to look that up. Maybe that's something you can find on the airline's webpage or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, some flights, they have games already on there. They already have like some sort of game system hooked up. But I don't know. I don't go on long international flights. I don't know how all the amenities. Maybe your boy Jim Edwards could speak to that more because that dude's flying all over the place all the time. But
you pulling me?
Right. Anything else that stuck out to you from UFC 221? I think it was a good card overall, the way it played out. I know one thing that stuck out to me. Let me hear your next thing that comes to mind.
I was not really impressed with it. Co-main was okay. The main I think that kind of solidifies Joel's Hall of Famer. All he has to do, without getting the belt will solidify if he gets the belt against Robert. But he's technically a champion, though, right? With him being he messed up. So it's like yeah,
he messed up.
Yeah, so, but I think that kind of puts him on there. Like he needed that signature win. That was a signature win as well. So props to him. And I told this guy, my brother sports bar, my regular spot watching the ones I don't watch on person. And I'm like, oh, he gonna catch him with that left. I just didn't know when. Or how hard?
Yeah. It's one of those things, man. Couple of things stuck out for the rest of the card for me. First was the second fight on the main card between Jake Matthews and the Leech. The Leech, with the most egregious eye gouge ever to escape a submission attempt, a guillotine, literally had like at least 2 fingers in one eye, maybe had 2 or 3 in the other eye, and eye gouged his way out of a submission while the ref was standing right there. And the ref just did a Mario Yamasaki. Like, hey, watch those fingers. Like, what? No. He used an eye gouge to get out of a submission. He should at the very least have had a point taken immediately, if not immediately disqualified. A little bit egregious right there. You got to be tougher on stuff like that. I know it doesn't happen all that often. But I won't go too much more into that, but I do want to talk about this guy. Saw him on the prelims. A guy I've been watching. I've seen his highlight tapes for years now. On Instagram, he's very active on Instagram. A lot of highlights. It's like, man, if this guy comes into the UFC, he could do something. Guess what, Kendrick? Last night, Israel Adesanya made his UFC debut last night, looking every bit the part. Came in, outpointed, laser point, laser precision. The only question mark that we see is that takedown defense. But hey, he fought through it, got up, picked his opponent apart. Crisp striking, knows how to cut off the cage, knows how to make guys question what's coming next. Got a little flair to him, got a lot of flair to his game, actually. See the immediate comparisons to a young John Jones or from a Bellator, a Michael Venom page. You see all these comparisons thrown out on Twitter.
But the thing with him, he's technical, right? His defense is suspect.
That's what I said, Dan. You got to work on the takedown defense.
I'm talking about his on the feet defense. He knew that guy had nothing for him. So I don't know if he really, but the way he does, he fights somebody technical. He got holes in his game. It's like he knew he had the advantage. So I don't know if he was most technical. But this comparison to John Jones and all that, it's like pump the brakes, bro.
It's still early for all that, but I mean, there's a lot of parallels there. A lot of parallels. Obviously, the wrestling game isn't there, so you can definitely say John's.
But I think just because they're built similar.
It's the built similar, but hey, the striking is there, man. The striking, the precision striking is there.
He's got better striking than John.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about all that.
John Jones don't be getting people out because strikes. He gets volume.
Yes, he does.
It's volume.
It's the spinning back elbows. It's the
but that dude has one hit quitter power. John Jones doesn't.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with what he did last night for sure. Not only what he did in the cage, but that post-fight interview was fire, boy. I'm talking about caught everybody's attention. The confidence is there, and that's going to carry him a long way. We talk about guys that need to go out there and seize that moment in a post-fight interview, and that is how he did it. And he did it in a spectacular way, and it was believable. It wasn't forced. That's the dude's personality. He gave it to you. So, as we'll see when we talk to Drew Dober here in a second, a very different type of character. He's a more humble guy. He's more relaxed.
Very nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Not that we have bad people on the show, but
no, I'm not saying that.
Like you see him, he's like military kind of. It's like, yes, sir.
Different personalities, different people. But my thing is, like, when you're a guy like Stylebender here, who is that type of guy that will talk the talk and walk the walk, that's what people gravitate towards. That's what people get excited to see him in the cage again. Because he said a lot of fiery stuff, boy, talking about I'm the new dog in the division, and I just pissed all over this octagon. Boy, I was rolling. I was rolling. That was a great line right there. But, I'm excited for his future, man. I really am. So, we'll see what comes next for him. He didn't take a lot of damage. Maybe we'll see him back in the cage again soon. In this WME era, man, they may try to propel this guy to the moon quick. So, like you said last night, you wouldn't be surprised if you see him in a top 5 matchup. I would think they definitely give him a top 15 next, but literally maybe 13 to 15.
We're starting to learn. That's been, I think, the biggest adage to the podcast on us. We get a lot more backstage info now. I just think it's crazy because there's somebody got hyped. They can just go off and not be in the top 15 and get offered to a top 2 guy.
Yeah, I don't think
we know this for a fact.
I think they'll. I kind of saw. I think it was Kel tweeted this out last night. Kel Dansby.
That's Kel.
Tweeted this out last night. He hopes they put him in the counter route where they put him against some aging strikers that will create some exciting highlights. And I was like, shots fired at Connor. But but I think that's the way that they should do it. Give this guy some guys that will try to stand and strike with him and see what happens, because I think he's a bad matchup for a lot of people. So I think they give him a fringe top 15, maybe not someone that's necessarily ranked, but fringe top 15 opponent next, and see where we go from here.
I have him in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
like Max Holloway said, UFC Hawaii, UFC Brooklyn. Get your boy Matt there. I'll be there. We're trying to get the full slip and dip on the road, taking it to the Empire State. Let's do it. Holla at your boy.
Anyways, then next weekend, half of the Slip and Dip podcast will be in Austin for the upcoming fight card there. We'll get to see Cerrone versus Medeiros. We'll get to see Derek Lewis. We'll get to see James Vick, the Texecution. We'll get to see Sage Northcutt.
I will be DVRing and watching on DVR. Unfortunately, I'll be at the NBA All-Star weekend. I wore more than one hat, like a lot of people in the MMA game. But hey, so you hang out with Derek Lewis and our boy Cowboy. I'll be hanging out with LeBron, good old Kyrie. So
hey, hanging out with Sage is a lot better than all of that. So,
have you been to LA now?
Oh my goodness. But yeah, man, that's what we got going on. That's what went down, obviously, last night's UFC 221. A lot of people apparently didn't buy this card, but hey, I think it was solid. Interim title be damned. Yoel said no more interim titles. I'm just going to miss weight, get the knockout, and destroy this silly notion that we have to have an interim title at every turn. So he kind of stopped that. But let's get into these interviews, my man. About 20 minutes in here. First up, we'll have Mr. Drew Dober coming off his big win over, somewhat controversial win over Frank Camacho. But he talks about that. Talks about a lot of good stuff, man. He's a nice dude. I think a lot of people will connect with this guy's personality. Just give the guy a chance, man. You're about to hear him, and then after that, we'll talk to Jason Parillo, who we caught in the middle of a little afternoon pub visit out there. But he gave us some time, and we appreciate it. Appreciate it coming on. Kendrick hooking it up as always, producing behind the scenes, on the fly, making things happen, come together. That's what it is, guys. Obviously, if you're watching on the YouTube, we got the handles right there on the screen for you. So give us a follow on the Twitters at Slip and Dip Podcast, Kendrick at Kendrick John So, me at Mr. M. Wells Art. And of course, follow the show on YouTube, on Spreaker, on iTunes, on SoundCloud. We are in a lot of places. Just search and subscribe. And of course, follow us on Facebook as well. We're on Facebook too. Yeah, all the places. Kendrick, anything else before we get into these interviews?
Oh man, trying to keep it moving.
Boom. Well, let's do it. Episode 41, the rest is coming at you right now. Enjoy.
Please welcome to the Slip and Dip Podcast, making his Slip and Dip debut. Lightweight contender, coming off his unanimous decision win over Frank Camacho on the Jacare Bunton card, Mr. Drew Dober. Drew, thanks for joining the show. How's it feel to get that win,
Thanks
man?
for having me, guys.
How's it feel to get that win on national stage?
Oh, it was good. I mean, I enjoyed getting that win. You know, winning is always ideal, but putting on a performance like that for the fans was also fantastic as well.
Are you moving to welterweight permanently? Are you going up and down? Like, are you still lightweight? Are you welterweight?
I mean, I'm gonna make a run at lightweight. That welterweight bout was just kind of a one-time thing to take advantage of opportunity. But no, I'm a lightweight fighter, and I'm gonna run for that lightweight gold.
There you go. That's the way to do it, man. I think it's pretty good to be a little bit flexible, though. I mean, how hard is the weight cut to 155 for you?
I mean, it's not fun. I usually cut about 25 to 30 pounds to get to lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in the interesting little situation of, you know, I'm too small for welterweight, but too big for lightweight. That 15-pound difference is pretty big.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, people that listen to our show know I hate weight cutting and I hate the idea of it. And I was actually having an argument with some of my other colleagues last night regarding, you know, what happened last night between Yoel and Luke Rockhold. How big, like, if you're a fighter, you know, you cut down to 155 and your opponent comes in at 157.7. In your opinion, how big of a difference is that going to play in the outcome of the fight if you were in Luke Rockhold's shoes?
I don't think it's going to play like a huge difference. I mean, whether he hits the mark or not, I mean, we're both going through the same thing, and we're both going to be rehydrated and well fed getting into the cage. I feel like the only difference is you know, getting that the penalty bonus. There was 20%.
30 actually last night. Yeah. So pretty big financial difference there, but. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, that fight against, you know, Frank. You know, after the fact, you said something pretty interesting in your post-fight interview. You know that you guys, you know, obviously were very respectful of each other before and after the fight, and you said that, you know, you don't have to have that animosity between your opponents to you know, to go out there and perform well. Which I agree with 100%. Has there been anyone in the UFC that you've had that animosity against?
No. There was only one fighter back when I was an amateur that I had animosity for, and it was probably one of the worst fights I've ever performed in. And it's just like that animosity turns into tension, turns into pressure, turns into like tightness. So you can't really, like, you know, perform, you know, to the best of your ability when you're very like strict and tight and stuff. So I just, after that fight, I was like, you know, I'm not gonna do that route.
So you kill him with kindness now, Drew?
I play hard, so.
Who's somebody you think that they got up for you? Did you? Because like we hear all kinds of stories from Sean Shelby. Talk to people right after the fight. He hit you up 2 weeks later, so he just hit you up out the blue. So how did this fight go with Sean Shelby in your next ever?
Oh, with like Sean Shelby in this fight with Frank, or just the next one?
Your next one.
Oh, you know, I try to get 8 to 10 weeks, so that way I can like properly and like healthily drop that weight. But I mean, really, it's just they shoot you an email or text of who, when, and where, and you know, you either say yes or no. And in the position I'm at, most of the time I just say yes.
So is there anybody particular that you would like to fight if you had your choice other than fighting for the belt?
Oh man, I get that question all the time, and it's like I'm not a huge fan of just like calling people out. I'm a firm believer of, you know, it's not who you fight, it's how you fight. So, you put a guy in front of me that will stand and trade and make the fight exciting, and I'm willing to bite my mouthpiece and go as well. So, just anyone and anyone.
Why it seems like people, when it comes to the mic game, my co-host takes it very seriously. Why do you think some people shy away from it and some people go for it when you kind of see, you don't really see too many quiet people like get looked at? It's weird. Like Mighty Mouse, he doesn't talk. He's the best pound for pound, but people don't take him seriously. It hurts him financially.
People love like the WWF or the WWE kind of storylines, and people are really into the drama outside of the actual like cage, or just the story and all that stuff. And so if people can pump up a story, pump up a bad blood, or pump up like all that stuff, it gets people more like emotionally invested in about. It's when you watch, Demetrius Johnson, you're going to watch like fantastic technique and him getting the W, but you really are not really emotionally invested in kind of like the story, where Connor just like goes nuts and he creates a story behind it. And that's kind of what people are interested in. But unfortunately, it's got to come natural, with Connor. I mean, that's natural, but you see other fighters that just, they run their mouth and it just looks so fake and so forced, and it just doesn't look natural, and it's just kind of gross looking.
Yeah. I mean, that also does come through. I mean, I think it would be beneficial to obviously be out there and be a little bit more vocal, but I think the genuineness has to be there too. Like we kind of also saw last night with Stylebender after his debut and his post-fight interview. Like he was talking some crazy stuff, talking about pissing on the cage and everything, but it was genuine. Like you felt that it flowed out, so naturally. And I think if like we all of a sudden get a Drew Dober that shows up and is like, talking all that kind of stuff, it would just be like, wait, what? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have to be you. It's as soon as you try to be somebody else, you're just not quite. You can't really do it. So I just try to be the best Drew Dober I can be, and then just vocalize who I truly am.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's talk a little bit about your training team out there, man. It seems like you guys are out there on a roll with Neil and Curtis. I mean, how's the gym life going right now?
The altitude doing something out there.
Yep. Altitude. We have a bunch of other cats out here in Denver that Justin Gaethje, Rose Namajunas. This Denver, Colorado is just creating just monsters. But Team Elevation, the place where I'm at, we had a little hiccup, at the beginning of 2017 when we lost the Muscle Farm deal and stuff like that. But the core group of guys kind of stuck together. And, it's the same team. We just, found a different venue. And, we're just constantly chipping away at each other, improving every single day. And it's like the coaching, the team, atmosphere and all that stuff. It's, we're always looking to improve each other. And we're always, just like the camaraderie is something that's I've never seen before in any other gyms I've trained at. So, big things coming, 2018 and 2019. We got some prospects coming up. Corey Sandhagen, one of my teammates, actually fought on the same card as I did. About time, because these guys are just monsters. A bunch of guys on Team Elevation that are not signed yet that should be soon. And then of course Neil and Curtis, getting in that top 10 and chasing that gold. Team Elevation is one of the best teams in the world, and we're going to show that soon.
Is it safe to say that y'all feeding off of each other's success? Like success breeds success? I know it's kind of cliche, but I think that's what y'all physically are doing.
Yeah. So what I've seen is, MMA kind of produces a bunch of individuals, and people are just kind of like selfish and only think of themselves and what they need. Where Team Elevation, we're always considering each other, right? I won my fight and it was, a pretty tough fight. But come Monday, I'm worried about, my teammates and what they're doing and how they're training and now their fight, my fight's done and over with. Now they got their stuff going. So I got to be there for them. And so that's the camaraderie that's really pushing each other. Iron sharpens iron. And the only way to do that is iron's got to be present. So, we're not taking days off. We're not, relaxing and staying away from the gym. We're always in the gym together, getting better together.
Yeah, no doubt. So what did you make of Curtis's performance last night?
Oh, it was great. I think it was near picture perfect. I mean, haters are gonna hate, and people, are not liking the wrestling, but he took Mark Hunt's best shot in that first round, and survived and came back to win round 2 and round 3. And Mark Hunt's a monster, and so if he can take a Mark Hunt punch, other guys in the division are not gonna hit it like that. So Curtis is just athletic. His wrestling, he moves like a smaller guy, but he weighs like 260, 265. I mean, he's truly a force to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, no doubt. He took a couple of Mark's best shots. I mean, that little flurry right there, I was like, how is he not out? And then he, just out of nowhere, gets this incredible takedown, and then that was just like he recovered from that moment. It was pretty incredible to see. And I guess you credit that to training, right? What you guys do in the gym and staying calm under pressure and everything like that, because that, I would think a lot of guys would kind of, lose focus in that moment.
Yeah, and that's how we train. We're it's not just grit and perseverance, but it's also like in cage, logic or intelligence. And he gets caught. We all knew that Mark Hunt throws big shots, and Curtis maybe might get caught with something, but it's just knowing that, once Mark Hunt's like overcommitting to the punches, that's, where your takedowns are. And so we just drilled it and drilled it and drilled it. And, it just played out well in the cage.
Dude, how many times can we expect you in the cage this year? Because I know like you fought like 3 times in 2016, but you only fought once last year.
Yeah, this fight's very inconsistent, but ideally I'd love 3 or 4 in a year. I'm not getting any younger, and so I just want to step in the cage as many times as I possibly can. 2017 was not the greatest. I broke my hand, which needed some recovery, and just getting kind of not the fights that I like. But so this year, as soon as possible. If Sean Shelby contacts me today, I'll take the fight.
Very cool, very cool. So, I mean, you're on a 2-fight win streak, man. What did you take away from that OAM fight? I mean, out there at UFC 206. I mean, was that a big teaching moment? I mean, have you made drastic changes from then?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, taking out of that fight was just the pressure and like the anxiety got to me. I didn't really go into the fight 100%. Not taking anything away from Mercier, like he won the fight, but because I was worried about some issues, it created like this anxious, I got to finish the fight as fast as I can, and so it wasn't animosity, but it was kind of like that pressure or that tension. It was like I need to get in and get out as fast as I can. And so what I took from it was I just need to relax and be in the moment. Don't think of that second round, that third round, when it's not there yet. Think about the first 30 seconds and let it snowball from there. And when it comes to, being in bad situations, just relax, stay calm, and don't try to hit home runs in the first inning.
Do you guys how important and I guess how much like mental training do you guys do? Because we've had Trevor Whitman on the show a couple of times, and he always speaks to the importance of mental training. And do you do that, and do you find that a key factor into what you do preparing for fights?
Yeah. Team elevation. Actually, one of our big mental coaches is our wrestling coach, Dave Zabriskie. He's worked with high school, collegiate wrestlers, all the way up to like Olympic style wrestlers. So when it comes to like competition, you have to keep your mind right and you have to think the proper things. And, as soon as you start slipping mentally, that's when you start slipping physically. And so not only the teammates, but the coaches kind of hold everyone accountable of like what's going through our minds.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I think that's very key. I mean, we see that in a number of instances. Like look at, I guess Rose Namajunas, you mentioned her earlier. Her big career turnaround has been, finding that her mental place, and then look what she's doing now. She's wearing that gold, went out there and shocked the world, So I think as long as I think there's a lot of things like in the fight game that a good mental edge will overcome a lot of different I guess discrepancies when it comes to like physical attributes and stuff like that. That's good to hear, man.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
yeah. I think the biggest difference between my Mercier fight and then like my Josh Berkman fight was mental. I think physically I was prepared the exact same way. I get win in the fight, very similar. But mentally, like it was just polar opposite, and you can tell by like the end of the fight, the difference that mentality affects.
Dude, so what do you do when you're not training when you're outside the cage? Does you just seem like a nice little chill dude that we may see you at a Nuggets game or something like that?
So I'm a huge nerd, and so I never really got into like team sports. I most of the time just like watch like movies, play video games when I'm not just like hanging out with friends and family.
Are you played yourself on UFC 3?
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm on UFC 3.
Oh man,
but that would be cool. To like be in a video game, be able to play yourself or play against yourself and just beat yourself up consistently.
Gotta make that happen, man. Curtis was talking about that last night after the fight. He's like, I'm not in the game. I want to be in the game, man.
Wow. So
yeah.
So do they get money? Y'all get money for being on the game? The people that on the game, do they get money? They get a check?
I assume so. Considering they're using your face, you might get a percentage or a little bit of off that. But what I'm seeing is they put the best like marketable guys in the game. And so, for an example, Dan Hooker, who fights out of New Zealand, he's a great guy to put in the game. Not only is he talented, but he's representing New Zealand. Same thing with like Mercier. He's in the game because he's representing Canada. Being from the United States, I mean, we got a ton of guys, in the United States, and so we got to like set ourselves apart, like marketing wise, to be placed in the game.
That'll give you extra motivation to earn some more fight of the night bonuses. Besides the money.
Yep. Performance of the night or fight of the night, it's what I'm aiming for. Every single time I step in the cage, I'm aiming to entertain the fans. I never forgot, that not only am I a martial artist, but I'm also an entertainer. And the guys that are, paying my bills are the ones, sitting in those seats.
Tell me this. For me, me and Matt go back and forth with some of our guests on this. I understand by entertaining the fans, but isn't winning the most important thing? Because, like for instance, like people kind of booing Curtis because of the way he fought last night. He had to do what he had to do to get a win. It wasn't entertaining, but I'm about to win. It seems like when you get entertained fans take that risk and you get in wars or you could get knocked out. It's like, is it really worth it in the end versus just hand raise? If it's a boring technical fight that nobody wants to talk about, but you got the W, so what they gonna do?
I mean, you gotta imagine that in the gym and how you train. Obviously you always wanted a W, and you don't want to take ridiculous risks, that will put the W or give you like a unfortunate loss. But in the positions that you were winning the fight, what can you do more? What can you do better? I'm not just gonna push this guy up against the fence. I'm gonna like put him up against the fence and hit him with an elbow. Or if I'm like getting takedowns, I'm not just going to lay on him. I'm going to find how to strategically like cause that damage, make the guy bleed, make this far more entertaining. When I'm, standing in front of the dude, obviously I'm not just going to bull rush the guy right into his punches, but how can I train to where I can set myself up to make the fights exciting?
Yeah, I mean that's.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a good point. But I want to go back for a second, man. You said you're a big nerd. I mean, like, what kind of nerd stuff are you talking about here? Like, what are you watching? What are you playing? Let's get a little bit more specific here.
Oh man, so let's see. During the Josh Berkman fight, I caught up in all 7 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Nice.
Prepping for the last bout, I was replaying Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
Okay.
Pretty religiously. No, like. If the movies have like superheroes, magic, or like fantasy, then I'm all about it.
Very nice. Yeah, I caught up on Game of Thrones not too long ago myself, and the anticipation for this next season is just like it seems like it's coming forever. I usually try to wait until like the whole thing is done and then just binge watch it all. And that's kind of what I did, but my fiance was like, we got to get caught up right now. So, yeah, man. I'm watching The Flash right now. Do you watch that?
I haven't caught up. I started watching The Punisher.
Okay, that's a good series too.
Yeah, I'm talking foreign languages to me.
So we're talking foreign language to Kendrick right now. But The Punisher is dope, man. I love that series. That's one of the best ones on Netflix for sure.
Is it?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's a dope series. Dope series. So I mean, what are your days looking like right now, man? You know, how many times are you in the gym, even though you don't have a fight scheduled up?
I tried to get in the gym like right away, but I had a bunch of like bumps and bruises out of baby. So then went back home to Omaha, Nebraska, and saw the family. And now I'm back in Denver, and I'm just back at it, training. Mandatory team practice every day, and then just figuring out what can I do to get better. So there's like a jiu-jitsu competition coming up, so doing a lot more jiu-jitsu classes and maybe competing in that. Who knows?
Nice. Do you have a what's your belt in jiu-jitsu?
I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, you trying to get to that black as soon as possible, or is it just like one of those things that comes when it comes?
It's going to come when it comes. I personally think that MMA fighters shouldn't really be promoted, because to be promoted in like jiu-jitsu, you got to do like strict like point jiu-jitsu. And unfortunately, like in MMA, we're just doing either the anti-jiu-jitsu or just like the moves that only work in the cage. So, I'm probably going to stay in purple belt for a while. Who knows? But as soon as my MMA career is starting to go, well, not downhill, but coming to a close, then I'll start focusing on like putting on the gi and aiming for that black belt.
But how many more years you think you'll put it in the cage? You just gonna fight until your body gives out on you?
I'm gonna do the second one because Yael Romero is 40 years old, and he's getting close to that title shot. So I was like, man, I got 10 years left.
But can you do a cartwheel and land on your feet and flip over the cage after gassing out the ring and land on your feet and salute the crowd?
I mean, I could do my best. It just wouldn't look that good, though.
I know. I was at the Whiteman fight. He was losing the damn fight. He comes with that crazy knee. I don't know how he did that. And then he was like on his deathbed on the stool. He flips over the cage and lands on his feet. That dude is a freak and a half.
Dude, it's nuts. I wish I got some of those genetics, but you just got to take what's given.
Yeah, you're not doing too bad for yourself, man. You scroll through your Instagram, you see you try to do the GQ thing. I see it, man. Suited up. Yeah, man. No doubt. So
just being a weirdo on Instagram. It's one of my attempts at marketing. I don't shit talk, but definitely post up some fancy photos.
Yeah, man. Everybody's got to find their thing. You got to find your thing. Hey, you come off like as a cool dude, nice dude. You know what? I can dress up. I mean, that's not a bad angle to take. Not a bad angle. I think there's worse ways to go about it. But you keep putting in those performances in the cage, man. People start noticing more and more, for sure. Especially
absolutely.
Especially
look forward to it.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure, you're doing good stuff.
We look forward to crossing paths with you, man. We about to start going to a lot of fights. Matt's going to the Austin one. I'm going to 223 and Fight Week. Hopefully, will they fly you out there for Fight Week?
Oh, I mean, if they don't fly me out there, I'll go out there by myself. I mean, it's pretty entertaining to be there. See the fights. Orlando was looking kind of fun, and I really want to see that fight in Brooklyn between Khabib and Ferguson.
Yes.
So I might be there for that.
Okay, yeah, I'll be in Brooklyn. I keep telling my co-hosts, you gotta come. You gotta come.
Man, I was robbed of the last one. I was at the one at, what was it?
213.
Yeah, I was at that one when Khabib fell out. So I got robbed of it one time. I'm gonna try to make it happen again. So yeah, it's Khabib versus Tony is gonna be a hell of a fight for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's cream of the crop right there.
Absolutely. Man, Drew, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Is there anybody you want to give shout outs to? Any sponsors or anything like that?
Just shout out to Booster Fight Gear. Since being signed by the UFC, they've been helping me out. Protecting my limbs and my face for like 5 years now. So, Booster Fight Gear.
Oh man, thanks for coming on the show, man.
We appreciate it, man. Definitely. Hey,
thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hey, whenever your fight get announced, can you come on and holler at us?
Oh yeah,
close to it.
Yeah. As soon as I get a fight scheduled and I'm allowed to talk about it, then yeah, of course.
And the reason we had you on today, we have a new segment for the 2018 year. You ball, you get the call. So keep balling. We will keep calling. And please pick up. Curtis didn't pick up. Tell Curtis to pick up.
Well, I definitely will.
No doubt, man. Thanks for coming on the show, buddy. We look forward to talking to you again in the future, very near future.
Thanks, guys.
Please welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast, one of the best all-around trainers in combat sports, MMA, boxing, the trainer of champs, Mr. Jason Parillo. Jason, thanks for coming on the show, man. We've been trying to do this for a minute.
Yeah, I know. I apologize. It's been hard to connect. I think you guys usually record on Sundays, huh?
We try to do Sundays and Mondays, which is just whatever works out better for everybody.
Yeah. How you guys doing? Everybody all right?
Yes, sir. We almost as busy as you, man. You can't get a break. You about to be right back in there with Miss Cyborg in another main event.
I know. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, so
I'm very excited about it, actually. Something that Chris has been having a hard time doing is staying active, and it's nice that she'll have 3 fights now in about 7-month period of time, which is only going to help her improve.
Tell me this: how much has training with Clarissa Shields helped her out? Because from a technical standpoint, Chris skills to me have gotten, like, the way she beat Holly. That fight is 5 times harder had she not been training with Clarissa, in my opinion. And people don't realize, like, little techniques like cutting off the cage. There's a lot of guys that don't know how to cut off the cage the way that Chris does, and I noticed the difference since she trained with Clarissa. Has that been a big help?
Well, I mean, they sparred one time. Yeah, I mean, Chris has been improving on her footwork and just her whole game in general over the last handful of years now. I mean, obviously, Clarissa being in there with a girl like Clarissa Shields definitely helps her confidence tremendously. Be able to hang in there with a girl with obviously the skill set that Clarissa has with her hands, and Cyborg did quite well with her. So confidence-wise, definitely it helped her in that area for sure.
Absolutely. So we've seen kind of like an evolution of Chris in the past, few appearances inside the cage. So, I mean, how much of a focus have you guys put on making sure she's being? It seems like she's being more patient, picking her shots more instead of just like rushing forward. So, I mean, how much of a focus has that been in the preparation?
Well, that's been a focus now for going on years now. It's one of the first is one of the first things that I paid a lot of attention to as far as working with her. That's everything. I mean, that's experience now, isn't it, too? I mean, the more you fight, the calmer you get in there. Anything you do competition-wise, I mean, experience plays a big factor on it. And that's why I like the fact that she's going to be active here with 3 fights. I think you're going to see even more improvement in this next fight. I don't think that the fighter she's in there with obviously is the same caliber as Holly Holmes. But in my opinion, Holly Holmes by far is the toughest test for Chris right now out there, and we've already got past that. So, as far as picking her shots in this next one, I think she's going to be sharp as she can be right now, and I expect a spectacular victory.
So what do you say to the people that are out there that are saying, we're seeing this style of Cyborg because maybe she's getting older and maybe she's losing power? Like, what do you say to the people that are, taking that angle versus, just her being a little bit more like evolved fighter?
Yeah, well, everybody likes the excitement of somebody that comes out and brawls and throws haymakers, and she has a punch and power to go in there and probably still fight that way and be successful with it. She just you gotta understand, she still has a few more years left. It's not like she's at the end of her career. She's at the peak of her career right now, and she has to, you have to be a smarter fighter. You're not gonna. Everybody can be tough and everybody can be strong, but you got to be intelligent out there. It's a lot longer career if you use your brains a little bit and fight smart. And she sees a lot more out there. She knows what she's doing. She's got a lot of direction, and she's confident in her skill set. And she sees what's going on, and at the end of the day, she's a full all-around fighter, not just somebody that goes out and brawls and just is stronger than everybody else.
You give some insight to who all you're training now, because you stay busy with her, Michael. You got a couple other more big names, don't you?
I'm with. I've been working with RDA Rafael Dos Anjos for his last 4 fights now since he's fought at welterweight. It's looking like he should get a title shot this year, which I'm really excited about, and I think he deserves. And I think he's going to take that title actually this year, and then that's going to happen. We might have one more fight with Michael Bisping, and we'll see. We'll see how the year goes.
So anyways, business is good with Mr. Parillo.
Yeah, business is good. I mean, I put my time in, and I've been training with these guys for a long time, and with Chris, I've been with Chris for 6 years now, and she's starting to, finally reap the rewards of all her hard work and all the hard work we've done over the past handful of years.
I gotta ask you. You brought it up. So how does RDA get that belt? And is he go? Do y'all see a knockout with him fighting Tyron? Because that's the thing. Everybody keep thinking that Tyron's is due to get picked, but nobody's picked him off yet.
Yeah, Tyron's a tough fight, man. He's a tough fight for anybody. I do believe RDA's got a style that could beat him. How it happens, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't sat and watched a lot of film on Tyrone just because it hasn't come surface yet. But that's a fight that I'm really excited about. With RDA, he's as hungry as he can be, and I think Tyrone's got quite a bit of distractions. And the saying's always, it's easier to win the title than hold on to it. And I think with his acting and his commentating and not being active, and as active as RDA's been, it's a perfect time for this fight.
Yeah, I think it's an incredible matchup, and it's pretty funny to see RDA kind of chirp back at Tyron on Twitter, trying to, I guess, get more fans interested in it to make sure that happens next.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's good. RDA's he's never been an outspoken guy. He's not the type of guy that goes out there and trash talks and, and promotes himself or anything like that. So for me, I kind of like it. I like that he's put himself out there a little bit because, he's a guy he's one of the best fighters out there. He's an ex-lightweight champion. He possibly could be a 2-division world champion. And, he's not a household name, so you got to go out there and talk a little bit, I think. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, no doubt. So hopefully that's the next fight that comes to fruition. I mean, I think that's the one that makes the most sense. Tyron's been talking about possibly fighting Nate or wanting to fight Nate Diaz. I mean, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I think he's just trolling people with that, but.
Well, that's not even good for the sport now, is it?
No.
If they were to have Nate Diaz come out and fight for a world title, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, it's not good for the organization. It's not good for the sport. It's just not. It doesn't make sense. I mean, no disrespect to Nate Diaz, but I got to this. But he's not in a position to fight for a world title, and like we said, RDA has done the work to be in a position to fight for the title. Especially beating a guy like Robbie Lawler off his last fight. It was a tremendous win, and that put him in the spot for it. You can't put Nate Diaz in a fight with the welterweight world champion. He's fought one welterweight fight in the last how many years, and that's against Conor McGregor, which was lightweight anyways. So. I think that was just some type of hype, and from what I understand, it was something I saw with Dana White kind of shut that down. So I think that talk will be stopped.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, do you think that's like a sort of a thing that we're going to see going forward, like these kind of crazy matchups because of we're in the WME Endeavor era, and they're trying to just make the fights that'll sell the most versus the ones that are truly the best matchups possible?
Yeah. Well, it's fun too when it's fun. I mean, there's times obviously you see these super fights where, maybe the guy's not in position for a title or whatnot. But I mean, those are fun still. I mean, it's still fun to have something, but it's got to make sense a little bit. And it doesn't make sense to have Nate Diaz fight for the welterweight title. It doesn't make sense at all. So. It's not like he's an ex-world champion of the UFC, and it's not like he's been competing at welterweight and in the top 10. So. You get these big fights, these big money fights, and it maybe doesn't make sense because the guy's not in a position to fight for a world title. There's something that'll make sense to it, though, at least, And, at the end of the day, the fans end up letting everybody know if it's bullshit or not anyways, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So what's going on with Bisping? I know you mentioned he may have another fight coming up here soon. I mean, obviously he's trying to get one more before he's out of the door. But what do you make of your career working with him and his career working with you?
Yeah, as far as Michael.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm fine with for me as a coach, but and as a friend, I think Mike's done enough with his career. And in all honesty, when me and him talk, it's up to him if he's going to fight again or not. And he deserves one more. If that's what he wants to do, but he also deserves not to fight again if he doesn't want. He's an ex-world champion, and he's done everything he can in this sport. I think he's a future Hall of Famer, and we're gonna let Michael make his decision what he wants to do, and whatever decision it's going to be the right decision because it's his choice.
For sure.
Jason, do you have any high-profile boxing clients? We know you go back and forth.
Yeah, you know what I have. I've fallen off the map as far as in the boxing world. I mean, I never obviously I've worked with mostly MMA world champions, but I have a kid that just actually hit me up last week that's got a boxing fight coming up that wants to come down and start working with me a little bit. But I've been so saturated in the MMA world that it's I've kind of I've drifted off in the boxing world. I'm obviously MMA guys hit me up all the time.
What do you look for when you train? When somebody calls you, like, what is something that determines if you're gonna work with them or not, other than them being good or having any talent?
God, it's really just a connection, really, isn't it? I mean, I don't have a public gym. I think I probably my clientele probably would be a little different if I had a public gym because obviously I would be easier access to get to. It's always been kind of word of mouth, and for me, there's only one of me. You can only put so much energy out there, so I tend to obviously focus more attention on people that I make a good connection with, that our personalities click well, and and I feel that they're listening. And not everybody wants to listen, especially when it comes to fighters, and if I'm out registering with them and they're not registering with me, it's there's a lot of guys doing this stuff, so you just kind of focus on the people that are listening to you and the guys that are gaining from you.
When you talk about the energy, to me, besides you knowing the techniques, is like you really are there for your fighters. Like when we were talking, you were definitely there for Michael and them at the weigh-ins and stuff. That's part of your package. Like you're ride or die with the team. When it's fight week and all that good stuff. When we see you,
it's ride or die. You got to be that way, ride or die, because really, I mean, these are fighters. I mean, these are guys that picked a career that not many people can do, and they got to trust you. So at the end of the day, it's they got to know that you're the real deal as well. I mean, they got to trust what you're saying, and I'm there. I'm there through the whole thing, and it's easier. It's easier when I got good relationship. Get a good connection. Hey, buddy. Sorry, I got it. I'm at a pub. I'm at an Irish pub right now, for God's sake.
It's like you a star up there.
Huh?
That seems like you a star out there.
Yeah. No, man, I'm not a star anywhere. How you doing, buddy? Been a long time.
Why are you getting a shout out?
No doubt.
So we're on a podcast. You want to be on the podcast? Yeah. No, I sorry, I steered away from your question, but yeah. I'm in the whole kit and caboodle. I do, through the weigh-ins and the whole 9 yards, and especially these high-profile fights. It's easier to invest more time. These guys are getting paid decent money as well, so that affects my pay as well. So it opens up a lot more. Opens it up so I can obviously spend a lot of time, and a lot of attention with these guys.
You're a very smart guy. It's an open subject on our show about weight cutting. What's your take on that? Because I think it's crazy how these dudes be walking around at 180 on Monday and they got to get out of 155 by Friday morning. It doesn't make any sense. My co-host, he about to go blow a coronary talking about this. It doesn't make any sense for the record, though.
I've never been really I'm not a really big fan of it, to be totally honest. Me personally, when I fought, I didn't cut weight. It is what it is. I understand the whole process of it. Yeah, it's one of the most. Yeah, it's one of the most agonizing thing about the whole thing. I mean, the weight cut, you know, that's why I like Cyborg's last fight. You know, it came down to it. You know, if these guys come down, which I like them to do, and Bisping's been real good on it. You know, it's come down. You know, sooner than later. You know, these guys sometimes, like you said, you know, they're 180 on a Monday, and then they cut down to 155. You know, in 5 days. You know, that's quite a bit, but. I mean, Tito Ortiz. I had Tito. When Tito fought Nogueira, I think he came down from 238 to 205 in the week of the fight, which was insane.
That's crazy.
You're watching a guy kill himself. You know, and that's what my least favorite part about the whole thing is. And I think they're as time goes on, they're obviously making adjustments as far as the weight cut. I know the UFC likes to weigh. I think they're starting to weigh the guys in a month before the fight, even, you know, and checking on weights. You know, just making sure everybody's doing healthy. Because in all reality, I think that's where real, you know, real harm could come into play. I mean, you see, I don't think anybody's died necessarily in the cage, but they've died cutting weight. You know, and obviously there's got to be some type of regulation on it.
Yeah. Do you have a? I mean, obviously, it sounds like you're pretty secure in that aspect of it. But I mean, is there a ideal scenario in which you've thought of, you know, to kind of solve the problem of weight cutting, or is it just?
No, you know, it's funny because I even talked to what's his nuts, USADA guy, Jeff Novitzky.
Yeah, Jeff Novitzky. Yeah.
And you know, I don't, you know. There's obviously real experts out there, real nutritionists out there that probably have ideas or things they can do to regulate it a little bit. I don't think much about it, just as long as all my fighters, I'm asking them how much they weigh 2 months before their fight, you know, and you know, fortunately, all my fighters, you know, seem to do it in a very healthy way. You know, Cyborg had a bit of problems when she was going down to 140, and that was just because, you know, she's being taken out of her weight class altogether. So that was a whole different struggle in itself, and I really was very against that at the time. It was something that I wasn't a big fan of, but again, I'm not the type of guy you talk about ride or die. I don't walk away from, you know, my fighters sometimes when, even if I don't agree with some of the decisions they're making, I still want to, you know, support them, help them get through whatever they're getting through.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. That's very cool. I mean, I guess like you said, like, you know, ride or die, man. If these guys are doing something a little crazy, I guess it's better to stay by their side and make sure that they don't go off the cliff, so to speak, right?
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean, if you really care, that's all you can do, really. I mean, you can't. I mean, sometimes a coach can have an enormous ego to them, to where they're like, you know, go fuck yourself. You know, they you know, and if they had that type of ego, they should have kept fighting themselves or became a fighter themselves. You know, at the end of the day, you're trying to get these fighters, you know, to the place they want to be, and in the safest way they can get there.
Absolutely. But Jason, I appreciate you joining the show, man. Thanks for coming on. I know we caught you out there at the pub trying to enjoy your afternoon. So
appreciate it, brother.
That's good. Yeah, well, I apologize. It's taking a minute to get me on here, man. I just, you know, the weekends have been tough.
Oh yeah, no. Hey, you at the Breeding Champions? We know what you're doing. We see you.
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, can you help us get Chris on? I've talked to her boyfriend, and he's all cool with it, but it's hard to connect with them.
All right. Well, they're out of the country right now. They'll be back in town on Monday. We'll be back in the gym on Tuesday. So shoot me a text next week. I'll see if I can connect you guys.
I appreciate it, man.
Very cool, man.
All right, guys.